In a world where the marks think they know better than the wrestlers and the bookers, the Fantasy Booking Institute exists to pretty much do exactly that. This is a visit from the FBI. Welcome to another episode of the Fantasy Booking Institute, your weekly dose of pro wrestling fantasy booking. I am your host, Detective Mark Smarks, and I am joined, as always, by my partners in crime fighting. Starting up, District Attorney Vincent Kayfabe. What's going on, man? How are you?
As
soon as it lets him on the stream.
Oh, you had me on, then I'm gone, and there I'm back. Yeah, this is fun. We're learning how to do this live stream thing. People now know what our ugly mugs look like and can tell that I'd make a really crappy district attorney with all this facial hair. But yeah, because they're supposed to be like handsome and stuff, but that's okay. So yeah.
Also joining us from up north, RCMP JLB. What's going on, man? How are you?
I can't complain. You know, same old. Yeah, I mean, technically lawyers don't have to look pretty though. You know, they just have to win cases. So you can still technically do that, kayfabe. You could still take
Oh, thanks, man. It's nice to have some love there.
Yep.
Hey, nice to know that you think he's ugly, but he still might be able to do it.
Pretty much. Yep. It's a nice way of saying it. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Before we get into everything, I always remind people right now that Raw and Order is part of the Tatnisco Podcast Network. So make sure to head on over to tatnisco.com. Check out the other shows on the network there. Show them some love there. If you are new to the Fantasy Booking Show, the premise is simple. We're going to take turns challenging the others to book some unknown and often unlikely scenario in the world of professional wrestling. We don't discuss these in advance, so the answers are entirely made up on the spot and off the cuff because we think that's funnier.
It is funnier.
Yes,
absolutely. When I never have anything planned.
Yes. And today's no different. So we'll start off with.
Yeah. Well, before we get into that, I always like to take this time to say, hey, wherever you're watching this, whether it's live on YouTube or Facebook, where we're live streaming it, or whether you're listening to it on your podcast platform of choice, make sure to click that subscribe button or that like button or whatever it says on your podcast platform or on Facebook or whatever to make sure you get notified when we do our next episodes. Share this episode with your friends so that they know what's going on and they can join in on our next one and all of that stuff.
Hey guys, did you know about this podcast called Raw and Order WBU? I'm supposed to tell my friends, both of them.
Yes. Tell both my friends about this.
Who are currently on it with you. That's
yeah. Oh, shit.
And you know, sharing is caring. So you know.
Just post it on your social medias. Or I don't know, maybe you can use that Twitter thing that, you know, we convince you to have and you don't ever use.
I use it.
He used it.
I was very excited about Ava Marie's return and not knowing whether... See, I'm so excited I was wearing red today. I was like, yeah, Ava Marie.
But so we will go ahead and get into the fantasy booking. This is where I usually open it up and I say, whoever wants to go first. I've got mine, so if you want, I can go first and you guys can go from there. Otherwise, you know, one of you can take the spotlight first.
I'll go.
Ooh, to start off, we've got JLB.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it. So I actually have. I'm a nice guy, so I'll allow you to pick which one you'd rather do, or maybe one does one and the other does the other. So first, I thought of actually doing a dream AEW versus WWE. You have a 5-match card. And you do your dream matches, what you would like to see. AEW wrestlers facing WWE wrestlers in its current state. That's fantasy booking 1. The second one I also thought of was considering WWE doesn't know what to do with their tag division. I was thinking of actually getting you to build up your own tag team that will actually succeed in the WWE. So book your new tag team, name it whatever you want, pick the 2 wrestlers, and build your tag team on WWE's current roster, and hopefully it becomes a success. So those are the 2 I thought of, and let me know.
Okay, so just to clarify, one of them is Dream AEW versus WWE match. The other one is create your tag team.
Create your tag team in WWE.
In WWE. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think we do the first one because the second one sucks.
Yeah, the problem is WWE doesn't really prioritize tag teams very well. So creating a tag team there is just like, hey, we're gonna throw Cesaro with Apollo Crews because they're both foreign, and
wow,
that
is Vince's thinking though. Yeah,
number one, Apollo Crews isn't foreign.
He's Nigerian.
Yeah, I think I'd rather do Dream AEW 5 versus 5 blood and guts match. Is that what we're doing?
No. I was more saying like 5 matches, but I mean you can do any matches you want.
Okay. Current rosters.
I also currently thought of another one.
Well, write it down. Write it down and save it for next week.
All right, fair enough. I'm doing it as we speak.
Okay. I suppose. I mean, I'd rather. What's your thoughts, Smarks? Would you rather do the? I think we'd come up either of those. We'd come up with different things, but I think the more enjoyable one would be AEW versus WWE, albeit redundant.
Yeah, I think that'd be the. I mean, we've done it before, but it's always fun to book an AEW versus WWE mini event. So
yeah. So yeah, I'm absolutely okay with doing that a second time. Yeah. Oh, it's just you commenting. I thought we had comments from fans. I was all excited.
No, it was just me telling people to let us know in the comments.
Yeah, see, it's fun. Anybody have nobody? Okay, so we're gonna do that one then. So my thoughts are: did you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
You go ahead and go first.
Okay. So again, I'm gonna throw back a little bit to last week. Do I have a little bit of a time machine? It doesn't have to be much.
No, current.
Has to be current. So I can't do. So doing Trips versus Cody would suck. Okay.
I mean, technically, Trips randomly comes back, so maybe he's acceptable.
Trips versus Cody would suck.
Yes, because it'd be current Trips. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So we'd have a really long entrance. Trips would come out on a throne. Cody would break said throne when he comes out later.
Right.
It would be excessive. Okay, we got to figure it out. All right. So I think the obvious start to this, is who does Kenny Omega fight? I think that's the foundations of all of this. When you are the best wrestler in the world, as he has proven yet again. So he waited 3 years to reclaim his title, but I think he's proven again he's the best wrestler in the world. You kind of get your pick of the litter. I would love to see him versus Karrion Kross, and here's why. I think Karrion Kross can put off longer matches than he currently does. He's been built as this very, very dominant person, and so I would love to see Kross's the Saida suplex. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
The what? Doomsday Saida. Yeah. That versus the V trigger, the high impact, very entertaining, very safe, but oh my gosh, they look vicious movesets of those two characters, and just who they've built as characters. Karrion Kross has built this anarchist destroyer mentality. For those who are Dragon Ball Z fans, this Beerus-esque character. And yeah, I have a son. Okay, guys, that's why I know about it. And
I have a 3-year-old, so if you want to know anything about PJ Masks, I can tell you it.
Yes. All right. Gecko. All right. Anyway, moving forward, I just think that's an easy build. I think the promos are so contrasting in their characters that we just really build something great there. So that's the first one I do. I also would want to see Cody versus Finn Balor. And I know I'm getting a little NXT heavy, but I'm going to be NXT heavy because it's the stronger product line for WWE. I think Cody versus Finn Balor, again, you get really good promo skills. Finn Balor is an aggressive prick, which is fantastic. Cody is the eloquent executive style thought process type guy, which is also really good. And I feel like I've just introduced the same match twice a little bit in terms of its build, which is okay. So third, I don't think that the Young Bucks can claim being the best tag team in the world until they've beat New Day, not knowing which members of New Day they're going to go against. This is if all 3 members of the New Day is an option. And I think that builds a really, really good set of matches. Not to discount MSK, who I do truly believe right now might be the best tag team in WWE in terms of their entertainment level. But I will have another tag in this that won't have MSK. So I'm also going to do the Grizzled Young Veterans against the tag team that is almost identical to them in the Revival. I'm sorry. It's
FTR.
FTR.
Yeah, FTR. Sorry, your cuckoo clock made me stop thinking.
I bet.
It's fine. I love it. Apparently, that's a crazy match. That's so crazy. Your cuckoo clock had to tell us about it. I think that's a really solid throwback to the match style wrestling that a lot of us grew up with that doesn't have all the flip-to-doos. So you have a little bit of the flip-to-doos with the Young Bucks and New Day, and then you have the other, of course. The 5th match is the hard one because obviously I think that you have to go female here. And it would be difficult for me to put Becky Lynch, who's probably the biggest draw in women's wrestling right now, especially with her return pending, to put Becky Lynch in that because she's been gone for so long. For that reason, I have to go to the person I consider the greatest wrestler in the world, with the exception of maybe Kenny Omega. And I know a couple weeks ago I said she's the greatest wrestler in the world, and right now she might still be. Sasha Banks and golly, the hard part is choosing which member of Impact of AEW. The question, I guess, the question I do have is, does AEW include Impact? Because they're not technically the same company right now, but they do have a really burgeoning partnership.
Nope.
No, it doesn't. Okay. Well, that sucks. You suck as a person.
Yep.
No, it's fine. So I'm probably going to go with Sasha Banks versus, the longest reigning champion in AEW history at all, I believe, is Hikaru Shida. Is that right, Smarks?
I believe so.
So she's held that title for ages.
She's still champion?
Yep.
And and is stupid entertaining in the ring. I think the promo stuff can be left to Sasha. She's that good. I think that there's other people involved in AEW who could carry that promo because you have a cross-brand item set up. So I'd love to watch that match. I would watch Sasha versus Hikaru Shida, since I can't bring Impact in, and you're a dick. So that's what I'm going with.
Okay, so now it's my turn, and the fun thing is, I can do similar, but I can do different. There's enough roster on both sides that I can do a lot different. So, so what I'm looking at is I'm going to do 5 matches, but I'm also probably going to book 1 or 2 additional, just because
There's so many
fun things that you can do.
Yeah.
Because the pay-per-view is better with 7 than 5.
Mm-hmm. So the 5 main matches, of course, just like DA Fabe said, Kenny Omega, you gotta have Kenny Omega in this, right? So having Kenny Omega, but I'm not gonna put him against the same person that DA Fabe did. Not because I don't think it'd be a good match, but because I think the better match is Kenny Omega versus Finn Balor.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because they've got a history. They both were leaders of Bullet Club, but there was a person in between them, so they never were in it at the same time. And
little guy named AJ.
Little guy named AJ. Yes.
Okay.
So this way, Kenny Omega versus Finn Balor will be probably the main event of this. I think that's just a phenomenal match, just waiting to happen. A match that I think would also be good, again, using Cody just like DA Fabe did, but for me, it would be Cody versus Seth Rollins, because they both have that kind of cerebral leader sort of character behind them. And I just think that their styles could match up fairly well with each other. So that's where I'm going with that.
I'd love to see that match. That'd be awesome.
I think it would be a great match. And the thing is, their time in WWE, because they were technically, I think, on the main roster at the same time, but it was during the Shield come up. Right. And so I don't think, and then of course during Stardust's downgrade. So I don't think they ever actually were in the ring together before. And then that was
not as viably competitive with each other.
And that was ages ago for both of them anyways. So and then in terms of tag matches, because we got to have at least one tag match. I mean, I think
go MSK Young Bucks. You want to? I know you want to.
You know, to be perfectly honest, I'm not wanting Young Bucks for a couple different reasons. I've got a okay. MSK, I think, is the one to go with. Definitely, because they're tons of fun. But I think the people to put them against is 2 members of Death Triangle.
Oh, yeah.
Pac and Phoenix. I think that would be just a hell of a match. You could do Penta and Phoenix, and it'd be a ton of fun. Have the Lucha Brothers versus it, but I like the idea of Pac and Phoenix together. So that's kind of where I would go there. I'd have at least a couple women's matches, not just one. There's just way too much women's fun to do. So first off, Hikaru Shida versus Io Shirai is something that I need to see sometime in my life. So that's my first women's match. Second women's match. So this one would finalize the 5. I think seeing Chris Statlander versus Rhea Ripley would be amazing. Absolutely amazing.
That's fire.
Yeah.
So that's one that I want to see. But in terms of bonus matches, because there are way too many good matches that you could put from this, right? Britt Baker versus Sasha Banks. Because not only are they both great wrestlers, but they're also both great on the mic. So you can have a great build-up with them. In an opening match, that's where I might use Young Bucks is like an opening match where, to start things off with just absolute fire. So you could do an opening match, Young Bucks versus who's a good team from WWE. The problem is WWE doesn't prioritize teams as much. So, I am going to say, even though right now we haven't seen Bobby Fish in a while, he's coming back from an injury, and Kyle O'Reilly's off on his own. They wrestled for a long time as a team before they came to WWE, so I can see them staying a team later. So, Young Bucks versus the newly reunited Red Dragon. Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly. That's what I would do for my 2 bonus matches.
I'm surprised you didn't try to put Dolph and Rude. Because I know they're not good now, but
no. Here's the thing: they're both good. I don't like them as a team. Okay. I just don't. I want them singles, and I don't like. I could put Dolph against. I mean, I guess I could do Dolph and Rude versus best friends Trent and Chucky T.
Yeah, that might be better. Actually,
that would be tons of fun. But I'd rather see Dolph versus Chucky and Trent versus Bobby Roode. I'd rather see individual matches for that. As for I would love to see Orange Cassidy in there, but it's so hard to find an opponent right. in WWE to
The Miz.
Maybe.
Because the Miz would make it kind of comical.
He would sell up the irritation with the lazy.
Yeah. You know what would be fun to watch? I'm going to have to look to see if it happened on the indie somewhere. Ricochet versus Orange Cassidy.
That would be fun.
Having someone whose whole thing is going all out all the time against a guy whose whole thing is nah.
Nah.
So, but those are how I would do it.
I love that you cheated and added extra matches.
Yes, I'm a cheater.
Because he knew I wasn't going to accept his Bobby Fish one since he's freaking injured.
How much fish could a Bobby Fish fish if a Bobby Fish could?
I think he's basically ready to come back. I just don't know if I don't think they know what to do with him with the breakup of Undisputed Era. They're like, what do we do? And with Roddy Strong quitting, Bobby Fish of Undisputed Era, Bobby Fish is the only one who never did anything solo. Roddy had a solo run before Undisputed Era. Roddy had a solo run during Undisputed Era. Kyle O'Reilly has done solo stuff. Bobby Fish was always in the tag team. So now that that's broken up, I think they're just like, I don't know what to do with them. But so,
I can't fault you for it. I don't like it, but I can't fault you for it.
Yeah.
Mine's better.
Your tag team was better. Yeah. I'll give you the tag team being better. I don't know. I'm still gonna say I win on Kenny Omega versus Finn Balor.
But the problem is, that's, in my opinion, that's an easy story to tell. and I think he copped out. That's what I think he did.
Oh wow!
So
Copped
I think
out.
he's just jealous.
boom.
I think you're just jealous. I think you're just like, damn, I should have done that.
Oh damn it!
Well,
You know what?
I'm gonna pretend like I
Bang.
hate it.
It's a cop out.
Yeah, that's right. By the way, I am a cop, so you know.
You're not a street cop anymore though. You're a detective now. So
Yeah.
You gotta dig a little deeper, bud.
No, man, this is the detective work here. This is shit here. But
so we will going for something different. Sorry.
We will move on to the second challenge. So, DA Fabe, do you want to go or do you want me to take the second challenge?
I'll be happy to go. So okay. I also had two that I'm going to let people pick from, and I think that this kind of gives you the opportunity to say next week which one you guys prefer or which one you want to get next week, I guess. So the two that I'm going to do, it looks like I have really wrinkly forehead when my head did this angle. So, sorry, I just the second one that I think I'm gonna, or the first one that I'm gonna do, I actually got just from looking at my energy drink because I do drink a particular brand. Hashtag still not sponsored, but you know, that'd be nice. And yes, we record this at nighttime, and that's my pre-bedtime drink. I'd like to hear either how you would book a modern day DDP run. Somebody who not DDP himself, because that would suck. It'd be like yoga matches or something. But what DDP did in the mid 90s was he didn't even start wrestling until his late 30s. He was a manager for quite a while, and I'd like to see how you guys would do. Who and how you would do a DDP run in modern day where it wasn't Diamond Dolls and the Diamond Stud and all that jazz. The second option is to spend 5 to 7 minutes apiece booking a idiotic and stupid, I'm going to post a survey from professional wrestlers. And this is in honor of one Ryback, who is now throwing a hissy fit online because people added the option of him retiring to his survey of where he thinks that fans should, where fans think he should sign next. I would find that incredibly entertaining to hear you guys, go ahead and pick different wrestlers to make a really bad survey that could easily have another answer thrown on it. And that's just 5 to 7 minutes. You just got to go off the timer and do as many as you want or as few as you want, and what stupid thing happens and that. So take your pick. You two decide between the two of you.
Well, me personally, I vote for the DDP because I don't know anyone else who could do that poll as Ryback. Especially,
what should I do now?
Especially because he came back, he tried to blame it on Chinese and Russian hackers and trolls, and he reposted one, and then he said, "Don't choose retire just as a joke," which, if you we talked about it on WBU, if you know anything about Twitter, if you tell people don't be a troll, they're going to be trolls.
Absolutely.
So I'm voting for DDP, but JLB, what do you want to do?
Yeah, no, I'm voting for DDP. I talked about Ryback enough. I feel like he doesn't deserve any more airtime.
Oh, it wouldn't have to be Ryback. You're picking other people to make really bad life decisions.
I don't want to demean anyone to Ryback's life decision. I don't think anyone deserves that.
Fair enough. So pick your wrestler, pick your modern day DDP, who's going to be a manager, roll into a And he doesn't have to be old, but it can be somebody who has that miracle run of really just outworking everybody in an era. And I hate to say this, but I think he politicked right by just being a great guy, just being a guy who worked well with his team or with the other wrestlers in the back. And DDP has a really great history. I'd love to do and I don't know that we could do a botch along like we did with Mick Foley, but I'd love to do some type of mini series on DDP type watch alongs because, golly, he went from very hated manager to very hated wrestler to fan favorite to world champion to oh my gosh, I'm so excited that he's going to be in a feud with Undertaker. Oh my God, what the hell did they write DDP into? To a yoga master. So, okay, the end of it's not that great. The end of it's not that great, but and maybe the yoga's great. I don't know. I've never done
yoga's great, bro. Like if you really get invested into it, it helps the body, mind,
DDP's
and
yoga. Have you've done DDP's yoga?
I mean, I haven't fully committed myself, but I
to
have
DDP
some videos.
yoga.
Yeah, it's just like regular yoga. He just makes it a little bit more manly.
Hashtag still not sponsored, DDP. That's your fault.
Hashtag DDP yoga. It doesn't matter. You're doing good for the world. Keep going.
Hashtag DDP yoga. You've got at least 2 extremely out of shape podcast hosts here. You know.
Oh wait, I'm one of the out of shape.
You're one of the 2. Well, here's the deal: you could be out of shape and still have guns. That just means they're not strong guns.
No.
These are 22
of shape.
JLB, do you want to go first? You want me to go first?
Yeah, you know what? I'll go first. And the first name that came to mind instantly, if we're talking about how he is backstage, him being a general nice guy, I think the first person I go with, I can even see him as a manager role to kind of start it off too. Kevin Owens. I think Kevin Owens has everything going for him. He's funny. He's nice backstage. He's also just easygoing. And he's phenomenal in the ring. He uses the cutter, if we want to add that as a DDP element. And he can certainly be, although WCW made him kind of the face, they certainly didn't really utilize it because then NWO kind of took over. But I guess he was still kind of the face because Flair wasn't really doing much. So I would think Kevin Owens would fit perfectly there. He's entertaining. The fans would instantly thrive to him. He's just got to be a little bit more perhaps energetic like DDP is. Kevin Owens is a bit more calm, but that's kind of how he is, I guess, with his gimmick now. But I could certainly see Kevin Owens doing that. So how Kevin Owens would start it off. Who did DDP manage? What kind of people did DDP manage? Because I was probably too young to really ever see his managerial days.
Well, the Diamond Stud was Razor Ramon. And that was very early. That was way early on.
Pre-WWF Razor Ramon.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're talking early 90s. And then, so DDP had been around for quite a while there. He also then rolled into, and he had a Diamond stable, and I'm trying to remember who else was in it, but he then rolled into the self high five gimmick, and that's when we started seeing him do really good heel work.
Yeah, it had on 83 Weeks. They talked about his early run when he was a manager and everything. And they basically said he just grabbed everything out of the box of gimmicks and just put them all on. So he'd have a hat and a cigar and sunglasses and a crazy jacket and crazy boots and and it took him a while to realize that with gimmicks sometimes less is more. And so he was really outlandish early on and then kind of got better. He actually also, for a short period of time, was the manager of the Freebirds.
Oh,
So
wow. Okay.
Really? So he managed Michael Hayes?
Yep. Jimmy
Which
Garvin
is
and PSAs. It was towards the end of the Freebirds in
That's
'91.
hilarious because they look so much alike and they sound the same, and obviously they're completely different people. But yeah, that's funny. I didn't know that.
Yep. And then he actually added Big Daddy Dink into it, and then he introduced the Diamond Dolls, and then he had added Scott Hall to the stable under Diamond Stud name, and then the Freebirds left the stable, and then everything else kind of went there. He started to train and eventually became a wrestler instead of just a thing. But yeah, it was late in his career when he actually I want to say he was like
36, I think, when he started
36,
wrestling. Yeah. He was 42, 43 when he won the world title. Which would have been what, 98, 97. So that's a long ways down the line.
And so, although Kevin Owens has been wrestling for like 15 years, so he definitely started younger than DDP did. DDP even wrestling, I think it was in his 30s. So getting the championship, 40 something. In terms of who Kevin Owens perhaps might manage, I'm thinking do like a kind of Canada stable, I guess. I think you guys might not know them very well, but there's a group they're called Everrise in NXT, but they were a really funny duo in Montreal over in the indie scene. They were called 2.0, and then I think they turned to 3.0. They were just nothing but hilarious, and Kevin Owens and them have such great chemistry. I could see them doing almost like the new aged, not Heart Foundation, but like the whatever Canadian Foundation or something like that. And you would just have, you would have, I don't know if I guess you would have Sammy in it, but I feel like KO and Sammy are just better bumping heads than anything. But yeah, I could certainly see, because KO to me is like the jack of all trades, kind of like how DDP was after he stopped managing. I remember them talking a lot about DDP's managing. I think I saw the DDP DVD, I think it was a 24 or something like that, where they talked about DDP's life, and DDP was just very eccentric, and then he even did that also in WCW as well. So as a wrestler, and so I think Kevin Owens can do that. I just don't. Just he could be that heel too. You know what I mean? He could be that complete asshole and just not like anybody, and so on and so forth. And I think that's just due to the fact that he's been doing it for so long too. So he's at that level where he can get behind the fans really well. It's just, I find WWE doesn't know what they're doing with him now, but if they let him do what he wants to do and let him thrive, and I think you have your next DDP, your next star, reborn again, if you will, because he was already champion and all that. So I could definitely see Kevin Owens take on that DDP role.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all you, man.
I'm not gonna go with Kevin Owens because first of all, the biggest thing is
neither would I.
He's a current wrestler who's already doing. I'm not gonna go quite as far as someone who's just not known as a wrestler in any way, shape, or form. But I immediately thought of Wade Barrett. I think Wade Barrett now, after his time on the Indies, after his time coming back to WWE for commenting on NXT, I think this is where he could do a DDP style run, where he comes off the commentary desk, you know, maybe on commentary, give him a bit of a time where he starts to slowly show favorites to someone. Then you could have him eventually come out as a manager to that person and help them for a bit. But then the big thing is eventually him just saying, you know what, I'm on it again. I'm gonna do this myself. And so I just think Wade Barrett, I think he had so much potential in WWE and was never like the bad news Barrett gimmick just slowly kind of died. And
it was so catchy. I don't know how they messed up on that.
So yeah, it was catchy, but I just think it died. And then, like I said, he went off and did his other stuff. I also think, you know, he's got finisher moves that can be similar to a diamond cutter sort of a move. Now, in context of everything, you always have to keep in mind that the diamond cutter, when DDP started doing it, was a new move that other people really didn't do. But now, between the RKO and everyone does cutters. So many of them do leaping cutters or springboard cutters or whatever. All of these cutters here, you can't really do that. But, you know, Wade Barrett had the Wasteland, which was a fireman's carry slam. That's something that can still be a move that's sort of out of nowhere. Yes, you got to catch him up into fireman's carry, but it's something where you can just spin him around, fireman's carry, slam him. So I think Wade Barrett's the way to go with it, in my opinion. I mean, there's tons of options. Like you've got Adam Pearce in the back. You know, maybe he gets cleared to wrestle and he can come and do a run like that. My initial thought was, could Corey Graves get cleared to wrestle? Because this would be a great story for Corey Graves to come off the announcer desk and do as well. But Wade Barrett's the way I would go.
Is he just commentating because he can't wrestle? Because he hasn't been cleared to wrestle, Corey Graves?
Yeah, Corey Graves suffered want to say
75 concussions.
Yeah, it was a series of concussions.
Wow. Okay.
A lot of them, but I wasn't sure exactly how many. But
no, I don't know how many it was, but
yeah, I feel like it was a bit over exaggerated.
As per noted by your cuckoo clock.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was only 12, but you know, I'm sure it's around that number.
The one that really stood out to me that as an option that I know we're not supposed to book our own, but I feel like there's a particular wrestler who all three of us like a lot, who has some exposure, who has not. I didn't know I was going to go full screen. Anyway, who has not been in either or any of the three bigs, and maybe hasn't been in the four bigs, if we include ROH. RJ City, I thought, would be really good for that role. As he is relatively young, he could build that up. You know, I think we've seen it before. And CM Punk going to the announce table. I think they could have done it with Joe prior to firing him because they're idiots. So I think that there's been times where we've seen it a little bit. But I think RJ City can give you as organic of that setup as possible. Probably a little less time as a manager than DDP had, but I don't know. That's just my thoughts.
Okay.
Nuts.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sticking them salty nuts in your mouth.
They're sweet and salty. I wonder how they roasted, man.
Oh, I know you like the sweet and salty nuts.
Oh,
yeah.
Jesus.
Sometimes I put honey on your. Never mind.
Hey, everybody, ever seen my balls? They're big and salty.
Good old chef.
Well, mine are nuts, and they're small and salty and brown.
Well, then, in this case, we will move on to my challenge. My challenge to you guys. Compared to yours, I think mine's actually kind of tame, all in all. I just had this idea. We've done a lot of these book time travel, this, time travel, that, but we've never done one based on a very specific weight class, specifically cruiserweights. So my challenge to you guys is to have you guys book the time travel cruiserweight best of the best fatal four-way to decide who is the best cruiserweight of all time up till now. So, so 4 cruiserweights from 4 different eras, or 2 from the same. I mean, they don't have to all be from different eras, but just from your eras of watching wrestling. You know, I don't expect you to go back and be like, well, I think that Gorgeous George was a cruiserweight in,
but he wasn't,
1952,
and so I'm gonna have him. And no, I
feel like we're gonna land a lot of mid-90s and mid-90s and today.
Mid-90s to today, but that's kind of my hopes is choose 4.
Can you guys give me examples of cruiserweights in the mid-90s? Because all I'm thinking of is Juventud Guerrero and La Parca.
Well, I mean, in the 90s, you had Dean Malenko, you had Chris Benoit, you had Eddie Guerrero, you had Perry Saturn.
Chris Jericho was a
cruiserweight at the time. You know, and that's looking in WCW. WWE had their own cruiserweights. Chavo Guerrero, Rey Mysterio. In WCW was Rey Mysterio Jr. because there is a Rey Mysterio that wrestles in Lucha elsewhere. But I mean, you know, Ultimo Dragon.
Oh yeah,
Psychosis, Billy Kidman. You know, these are all
theoretically. This also includes the X division, so this is going to be your Suicides, your TJPs, your at one point it was Black Machismo. Jay Lethal was a cruiserweight. So I mean, you've got a lot of options there. Am I saying that somebody from the X division is going to win this? Probably not. But there's a really good era and there's a really good set of wrestlers right now. So
yeah. Okay, I think I got my list. I'll go first since I'm on the biggish screen here too. Okay, so first of all, AJ Styles, and I'm talking TNA AJ Styles, X Division.
Well played.
He definitely has to be there. I mean, even if you want to put current AJ Styles, I'm still down, but he was just younger, and I felt like he was more flip-de-dooey back then. Just was more phenomenal. Okay, I'm a cheeseball. Yeah, so AJ Styles for sure. A name that keeps coming into my head is no, he can't be in it though. I'm always thinking of Billy Kidman for some reason, but I don't think he was necessarily great. I think I was just shocked when he did the shooting star, and I was all like, "Oh my god!" But I don't know how good he technically was. So I'm gonna do AJ Styles. I feel like Juventud Guerrero was phenomenal. I used to always remember trying to catch his matches in WCW. You guys are probably going to hate me for this. I'm not a fan of Dean Malenko, though. So I know Dean Malenko.
The mute button. Let me find it.
So, Elle, I know a lot of you are going to be like, Demolinko has to be in it, but not in JLB's Fatal 4 Cruiserweight of the best of the best. And then if we're talking current, I think you have to have Ricochet in there. And I feel like I'm just missing so many people, though.
Yeah, that's why it's a Fatal 4, best of 4, or best 4 of all time. You're gonna miss some people
for sure. So, Juventud, AJ, Ricochet, and Rey Fenix. I can't do anyone in Impact. I honestly don't watch enough Impact. I think TJP's phenomenal, but I think Rey Fenix is better than him. So that is my Fatal 4-way. And I think that match would just be fire. Like, oh my God, forget about it. You cannot leave to get anything. You're definitely going to miss a whole lot of... Is Juventud Guerrero still wrestling?
Yeah, I believe
Yeah?
so.
Wow.
Yeah. Didn't Psychosis just retire? Isn't that who just retired?
I think so. I'm trying to...
That sounds familiar.
Anyway, neither here nor there. Who wins? Who wins?
Who wins? Ricochet.
All right.
I honestly think pound for pound, I even think maybe Ricochet is better than AJ, to be honest with you. He just hasn't, if you watch any of his stuff in New Japan, well, I guess AJ too, but if you watch any of his stuff in New Japan or any of his indie stuff, Ricochet hasn't even begun to show what he can do in the WWE, even when he was in NXT. So it always just breaks my heart when I see him wrestle, and then I'm like, oh, but you could have done so much more. He's kind of doing it on Main Event, but still not nearly as much as he is capable of doing. So I think, hands down, Ricochet would win best cruiserweight of all time.
I mean, in fairness to you, I'm on a ranker list, and they have Ricochet number 9 in best cruiserweight, greatest cruiserweights of all time. We'll wait to hear the Fabe thinks is his top 4 and who wins. But it surprises me that you didn't have Rey Mysterio on the list at all, because a lot of people would put him as the greatest of all time.
As the GOAT, yeah.
Yeah, I think that whole thing really just dampened my mood on Rey Mysterio.
And then it's really hard. And I don't know how DA Fabe's gonna go on this, but a lot of people would put Eddie Guerrero up there too. So
the hard part is to remember that guys that have been 230-pound plus guys, like Eddie, like Chris Jericho and Benoit, like Ricochet. Ricochet is actually over 205 pounds right now.
Wow.
So some of these guys that we recognize,
well, yeah, I mean,
have been light enough to have been
for a long time in New Japan.
AJ.
Yeah, AJ. Well, Kenny Omega was the light heavyweight or junior heavyweight champion for a long time, which is their cruiserweight.
And that's a 215-pound weight.
Yeah, it's a little bit higher, but it's still, I mean, he was technically a cruiserweight for a long time before he bulked up to go for their heavyweight. So
yeah.
But let's hear what DA Fabe's gonna do.
So, because you were an asshat and went after me earlier and broke some rules, I'm going to break some fucking rules. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to have qualifying matches for this. I'm going to have 4 qualifying matches, and the winner goes in. And those qualifying matches are going to be from different eras or different feuds that have happened. And I have to start with quite possibly the best cruiserweight feud of all time, and that is Demolinko versus Chris Jericho. The the man of 1,000 holds versus the man of 1,004 holds. Armbar is too good a feud to ignore historically.
Sure.
And I think that's a great qualifying match, which tells you the caliber of athletes we're expecting to have here. There is something significant to be said about the feud between Rey Mysterio and Psychosis, which happened slightly before Jericho and Malenko. And I think it's undeniable that Rey Mysterio is it belongs on the Mount Rushmore of cruiserweights. And that's really what we're doing, is we're naming our Mount Rushmore and saying who would win. So I think Rey Mysterio wins that with his mask on, not in the 2 years he didn't have a mask and looked like a 4-year-old.
Not as part of the No Limit Soldiers?
Boy, that was bad. Because I've already named 2 from the 90s, I don't want to limit myself back to the 90s anymore.
But those were such good times.
Oh, they were. I mean, it's hard not to count a Billy Kidman feud, like Billy Kidman, Chris Jericho, or Chris Jericho, or Billy Kidman versus Chris Benoit when they were both light enough to be in the cruiserweight. I do believe that WCW's cruiserweight division was a little heavier than 205 pounds, but that's neither here nor there. I think we have recently actively seen the 2 best in the world at the cruiserweight division facing each other. And so that's tough for me to ignore that those 2 are currently in the same division. There's probably an argument for Suzuki Okada and everything, but God damn it, it's fun to watch Santos Escobar versus Kushida. It is just freaking fun to watch those 2. And I think it would be foolish not to include that match between the 2 of them. I am a mark for Kushida. I love Santos Escobar's promo skills. I love the idea. His heel work is the best. His mic work and heel work is the best the cruiserweight's seen since the 90s with Jericho.
Wow.
So for that reason, he has to be considered in the 8. But for a single match, I'd rather have Kushida in there. Now, for a build, I would love to have Santos Escobar in there. And then I'm going to go with a dream match of guys who aren't really known for their cruiserweightness, and haven't had amazing cruiser. Yes, AJ had some feuds that were cruiserweight. But I'm going to go with one guy who's never really been called a cruiserweight, that is an obvious cruiserweight at 187 pounds, Finn Balor. And so he's definitely light enough to do it, definitely entertaining enough to do it. There's times where Colby Lang, or also known as Seth Rollins, fit into that category. He would be great. There's just so many names that it's easy to leave off of this. But AJ versus Finn Balor does tell the same story that Smarks talked about a little bit ago, and quite frankly, in their cruiserweighty best, AJ's the higher flyer of the 2, which is interesting to think of. That Balor is the striker, having always been smaller than AJ ever was, but he's the striker of the 2. And so I think that there's a lot of people who are going to hate me that are old school here, but I think that match goes to Balor. So in the end, we've got Jericho, and as much as I'd love to see Dean Malenko in there, Jericho is the better sell. Jericho, Rey Mysterio, Finn Balor, and Kushida, and taking them all at their prime, I don't think you can have Finn Balor lose that. That said, he's probably not on that best of cruiserweights list because he's never been recognized really as a cruiserweight.
You are correct.
That said, he is, in my opinion, one of the most entertaining cruiserweights of all time, and definitely puts on a different show than we've ever seen from somebody under 205 pounds or 225 or whatever weight range you're using for those guys. And there's just so much to watch at 187 pounds with Finn Balor. He has the speed, he has the striking, he does do some high flying, but it's not just top rope body drops. It's the stomp that he does. It's all those different things that really make a world of difference. And so that's why I'm going to actually make Finn Balor, who's never been recognized as a cruiserweight, the greatest cruiserweight of all time. I would assume that list has two of those guys on it as 1 and 2, and I would venture to guess it says Rey and Chris Jericho in that order.
You're close. 1 and 3. Rey 1, Chris Jericho 3.
Malenko is 2.
Eddie Guerrero 2.
Eddie Guerrero is 2. Yeah.
So the list.
And it was tough not to put Eddie in there, but
well, like I said, here's the deal: is we're talking about of all time, right? And so, like DA Fabe said, it's kind of impossible to do this list and not leave someone off when you're talking just 4. I could have even told you to do a Sweet 16 tournament, and you still would have come away saying, I should have put this person on. I should have put this on. Because, I'll go down the list here, and I guarantee you we'll get to a couple on this list that one of you. So, of course, Rey Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero, Chris Jericho, AJ Styles, Ultimo Dragon, Jushin Liger.
That's the one that just retired, Jushin Thunder Liger.
Mm-hmm, yep. Jeff Hardy.
Was he recognized as a?
He was a cruiserweight champion at one point.
Really? I feel like he fits into the Balor mold.
Or maybe it was the WWF light heavyweight or something like that. Whatever. Dean Malenko, Ricochet, Daniel Bryan wrestled as a cruiserweight on the Indies. Chris Benoit, Adrian Neville, aka Pac, Johnny Gargano.
Oh,
damn, Gargano, of course.
Owen Hart, CM Punk.
Owen Hart?
Mm-hmm.
There's no way that dude was light enough to be considered a cruiserweight.
He was a light heavyweight champion at one point, if I'm correct.
Yeah, on his left leg.
he was. I mean, what you got to remember is both Owen Hart and Bret Hart were part of the side of WWF at the time that Vince thought were too light. Because this was early on during the steroid scandal. Vince wanted the big, beefy men. And then the steroid scandal came along, and he moved to the lighter, more agile ones, which led to the Shawn Michaels, the Bret Harts, all of those coming to the forefront.
Yeah.
I could look up what his build weight was, but I think he was light. CM Punk, Tiger Mask, Christian technically was a light heavyweight champion.
I remember that. Yep.
Adam Cole, baby.
Oh, gee.
Billy Kidman, Tajiri, Juventud Guerrera.
I got him.
Gregory Shane Helms.
Hurricane.
Yeah. Brian Pillman.
Flying Brian.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been before his feud with Stone Cold WWE.
Yeah. Which, by the way, great Dark Side of the Ring episode.
Yeah. Have they done both episodes so far?
They did. They did it together, technically.
Yeah. I got to watch part 1, but I haven't watched part 2 yet. So
part 1 was how long? An hour?
45 minutes.
Okay,
I think.
so you're only missing. It's basically an hour and a half together. So
yeah. So X-Pac.
Yuck.
Yeah.
Gross.
But Brian Kendrick, Matt Hardy, Psychosis, Evan Bourne, who still wrestles.
Oh, Matt Sydal. Yeah.
Yeah, Matt Sydal. Chavo Guerrero. El Generico. I don't know why, though. They have Sami Zayn's picture.
Crazy.
The greatest man who ever lived, Austin Aries.
Oh, Jesus.
He doesn't fit it now, but Roderick Strong was a cruiserweight for a long time.
Don't Jesus. Hold on, back up. Don't Jesus Austin Aries. He is a really good wrestler.
No, his cocky
He's
attitude. I don't give
he's
a shit.
Douche
He's a
behind the
douche.
scenes.
Not giving him any credit anymore. He's that douchey. Like he can go fuck himself. That's it.
Go back and watch the Bully Ray versus Austin Aries feud. It's fantastic in Impact.
Mm. I mean, I don't doubt that he's a great wrestler. It's just, I'm sorry, the guy is just overly cocky and too obnoxious. I just can't respect him anymore. So he wouldn't be in any of my lists except worst asshole wrestlers of all time.
See, there's a guy you could have posted a feud for or a survey for.
Number 33 on this list, Chris Sabin.
Wow.
Mm.
And Motor City Machine Guns, man. Detroit. Christopher Daniels got his start as a cruiserweight. He's not a cruiserweight anymore.
He was phenomenal in TNA.
Sucks. Oh, shut up.
He was great.
Fuck Christopher Daniels. He sucks.
Well, one of the wrestlers that we still see moves that he invented being used today, Taka Michinoku.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Canyon. I was like, Canyon has never been under 225. Maybe when he was like in 10th grade.
And plus, if Canyon was a cruiserweight, I mean, he would win because who better than Canyon?
Nobody's better than Canyon.
Thank you.
Dynamite Kid, Matt Jackson, Paul London. DFA mentioned Jay Lethal.
There is no way Dynamite Kid was light enough.
Dynamite Kid was an early cruiserweight guy for a long time.
Yeah, I think that's why Benoit took such a liking to him, though, because Benoit was small too. So that does make a lot of sense. And if we're putting Benoit on the...
Yeah. The thing with Dynamite Kid is what you got to remember is he was short. So even though he was muscular, he was short. So he looked bigger than he actually was. But super crazy. Jerry Lynn. Two of the three members of New Day. You know.
Wonder who those could be.
Yeah.
Obviously, Big E.
Yeah, Big E. Totally. Eric Young. Low Key. I'm not a huge Low Key fan, but
I like the number of guys on this list that aren't limited to flip-de-doo. I really do. I mean, even though Jericho did some, his was more of a technician style.
Yeah. Well, Demolinko as well.
Really a psychological style. Malenko, obviously. You mentioned Tajiri, who wasn't a high flyer, who was a technical wrestler. Benoit, who had one high flying move that we aren't going to talk about. So yeah, I love that there's a bunch that don't have to be high flyers. Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
Kofi. Yes, Kofi has some high flyer-ish, but his is just showy striking with his Trouble in Paradise and whatnot. So
TJP, Alex
that's Shelley. High flyer.
Alex Shelley, Petey Williams.
We missed Alex Wright.
Yeah, Alex Wright comes down this list down there.
Alex Wright, yeah.
Everybody got to see my moves through my shirt. That's fun.
Spike Dudley.
Spike. I'm not upset that he wasn't in my final four, but
yeah, definitely not upset that he was not in my
current AEW wrestler Jack Evans. And I'm only about halfway down this list, but we still have. I'm just scrolling
for sure.
I'm scrolling through. Just Incredible, Shannon Moore.
His name's a play on words. Just Incredible.
There's Alex Wright.
You're such a cheeseball.
There's Chucky T. There's Jimmy Jacobs. Eddie Edwards.
Nuh-uh.
Okay. For some reason, this has got to be a fucking joke. Gilbert's number 97 on the list.
What? Why does
Well,
he
yeah,
make the
I
list?
mean, he was a cruiserweight champ.
Mhm.
But he wasn't any good, probably. They're saying the best 100. No?
And he had a very long defeated streak.
Dwayne Gill. And then he became Gilbert. And he had a pretty short undefeated streak.
And then
with the sparklers.
number 101 on this list is Prince Iakea, who I thought was a phenomenal wrestler who just kind of came in during the slow downward spiral of WWF.
I would agree with that. So Iakea was really good.
But yeah, so that is the end of that challenge. You know, like I said, I gave you a big Sophie's choice. You had to choose 4 wrestlers from all of them, because even this list with 101 names on it, still there are names that we're saying could have been, like Finn Balor could have been on it. You know, technically speaking, for a long period of his time, Cody Rhodes would have been a cruiserweight. He's probably not now, but there were a time he would have been considered a cruiserweight. He just never went after a cruiserweight belt. Seth Rollins, when he was Tyler Black, I mean, technically, Aleister Black would probably qualify as a cruiserweight in most.
Joe did at one point. Samoa Joe, 300-pound Samoa Joe at one point qualified.
Yeah. I don't think so. I think he was just could do everything a cruiserweight can. So they're like, yeah, let's put him up at cruiserweights. He was in the X division and all that, but he was never 205. No way.
Dude, go watch his first WWE match. Way back. First WWE match.
Would they have that on the network?
Probably. It was a Raw, and he lost.
Oh, okay.
It was a Raw, and he lost, and it was a one-off. Yeah. I wouldn't bet him bigger than Jeff Hardy.
Yeah,
damn.
You'll have to find it for us, because you still have the network in the strict sense. We have Peacock now, which you search by wrestler name or.
Yeah, I still got the better network.
I'm pretty sure you can find it on YouTube.
For sure.
No, I bet you can, yeah.
Which is one of the platforms we're streaming on right now. So
Yep.
Yep.
Live on YouTube and Facebook as we speak. But we will go ahead and move on. Well, go ahead.
Does that mean we're automatically on Instagram since we're on Facebook?
No. Instagram is weird. I did some looking up on it. Instagram only allows you to go live from their app. And so if you try to use another app to go live on it, you can get booted. So
dicks.
Technically speaking, I could set up a phone right here on my desk, but we'd have to have 2 different streams going. It is a big pain. So we're not right now. We're on Facebook and YouTube. I'm debating on adding Twitch into it. But Twitch has its own issues, so we'll just deal with these 2 for now. So we will move on to our fun game that we like to do. We call it AEW, ROH, or Impact Wrestling. Where would you put these WWE wrestlers? The rules are very simple. We're going to each give the others a list of 3 current WWE wrestlers, or maybe we change the rules to something else. I don't know. I'm doing WWE. That the others have to make the choice of where they would go. It's kind of like FMK, but a little bit nicer. So the challenge on the first round,
ROH is pretty much K.
Most people would. The first round, the choices for you guys are, I'm doing some big guys, but not like the big guys. Not big in terms of popularity necessarily, big in terms of stature. Damien Priest, Dominik Dijakovic, and Baron Corbin.
I'll go first. I love how you switch it immediately. Tortilla. Anyway, oh, goddamn, they've ruined 2 of the 3 of those recently.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go ahead and put Baron Corbin in AEW, and I'm gonna catch heat for it, and that's fine, and I'm okay with that. But I'm gonna put Baron Corbin in AEW, mostly because of just exceptional mic work. And quite frankly, his agility. I mean, he can really build several matches. Whether he wins or loses, he is believable as a competitor most times. And so I'm going to put Corbin on AEW, even though, like I said, I'm going to catch heat from it. Dijakovic's probably going to ROH just because I don't know that he has. With the exception of the Keith Lee feud, I just haven't seen a lot out of. I've seen a ton of in-ring work. I've seen just not that great a promo work, and for that reason, and I also think Damien Priest carries a personality that's really really good to go with some of the other Impact stuff. I've done my best to avoid pigeonholing guys who have had darker characters to Impact. But I do feel like that's not a horrible move for Damian Priest. So yeah, I'm making Corbin go to AEW, and that's where the heat's going to come from. I'm 100% confident on this. So
nice. I think I'm going with. I think I'll switch it up. So I think, like you though, Damien Priest does have a lot of energy. I don't know what he's doing on WWE though. He's just a little bit too chillaxed, I feel. He was already relaxed kind of in NXT, but he had a little bit more fierce in him. So I think he would be a good fit for AEW. I absolutely do think though Corbin has probably one of the best heel works you can probably get in a heel that you would want in any brand. And so I'm curious to see what he would do in Impact. There's not really a lot of guys his size, if you will, or that I'm recalling at the moment on Impact, but I could see him being part of like a faction or something and
I think it's
leading
the
a group.
build that's the difference for his size and Impact. Usually they're either stacked and giant or not his size.
Right.
Yeah, different build. So I get what you're saying there.
And honestly, I can't remember. I do technically remember. I remember Dominik Dijakovic's last match in NXT, and I thought that was phenomenal. I can't recall who it was against. Was it Adam Cole? No.
I think it was Keith Lee.
Keith Lee. Oh, yes, Keith Lee. Amazing match. I have to go rewatch that match. So much greatness in that match. But honestly, Retribution, you done screwed yourself over, bud. So you're going to ROH. Not that that's a bad thing, but at least you won't be Retribution, and you can finally excel in what you actually do good. Is wrestle,
which is in ring.
In ring. So and with no mask anymore. Like you get to finally show your face to people because.
Except now they have him painting his face.
This mask is my reckoning.
Where did they have him painting his face? What happened? What is he doing?
Yeah, he's still playing T-Bar or whatever. He just isn't wearing a mask, but now he's got face paint on, where he's looking like Road Warrior.
Thank God I don't watch Raw then, because between seeing that and apparently Lily injuring Shayna Baszler.
I don't think he was on this week's, but he was on last week's Raw. But yeah, no, it's like here's what they missed their chance. Just to go off on a tangent, they missed their chance with all of Retribution. When the group broke up, this was their time to introduce them now under their real names without this Retribution gimmick at all. Right?
That's it.
And so
Or to still be Retribution and be themselves, though.
I think this is a chance. You can still have them be a tag team, but now they come out and not as T-Bar and Mace, but as Dijakovic and Dio Madden, right?
As a group of people who's pissed off that they joined up with somebody because they were being overlooked, and then they got overlooked because they joined up with somebody because they were being overlooked.
Yeah,
and you could have just continued the story.
You could have. I would have just, because the story fell on its ass so flat anyways. I would have just kind of said, that's done. Let's roll on. We don't need to remind people of Retribution. They can still be a team, but now they're Dio Madden and Dijakovic, right? We still don't know for Shane Thorne, Slapnuts, and Mia Yim's Reckoning, what they're going to do with them. They're
apparently going to show up on SmackDown this week.
That's the rumor, at least for Mia Yim that I heard.
Right.
Whether or not that actually happens or not, I will see on SmackDown. But this is the time, if they have them come out and they're Shane Thorne and Mia Yim and they just come out as singles wrestlers and everything, that's the way to do it. And they messed it up on Raw. But anyways. But that's enough of that. We will move to D.A. Fabe's answer to this particular question.
I did it.
Oh, you did yours? Sorry, you did it first? I could have sworn JOB went first, so. That's right. You went, you went Baron Corbin to AEW. That's why I don't remember it, because I zoned out as soon as you said Baron Corbin to AEW.
You just zoned out of your entire answer.
You said Baron Corbin to AEW.
With friends like Officer Smarks, you don't need enemies.
Hey, have you guys heard of this new podcast? Raw in Order?
I'm sorry. What? JLB, go ahead and answer the question.
Okay. Right, so I suppose that means, because I'm already on the big screen, I have to ask my version.
You may as well.
So, the question, I guess we've just done a little bit of Cruiserweight. I've got Cruiserweight on the mind. So we're going to take people from the Cruiserweight division. And I'm gonna limit this to people who are actually in it. So Gargano and Balor are not gonna be surprises thrown at you. I'm gonna take Swerve. I'm gonna take Kushida, and I'm gonna take Santos Escobar. Take your picks.
I'll go first. And it's kind of sad because I know I'm gonna piss off DFA with the answer. But Santos Escobar is not going to AEW. I think he's awesome. I get it and everything, but when you have a chance to get Kushida in AEW, you take fucking Kushida. That's what you do.
You ready for this?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, you do.
Yeah. That's right. Kushida to AEW. The other two are tougher. I'm a big believer in Swerve. I think he's got a lot of upside to him. Santos
should have won that ladder match.
Should have, yeah. I mean, and it looks like they're giving him a big push now with his new hit squad.
Raw. What is it called? I think it's Death. That's not Death Row, but it's a playoff.
Hit Row.
Hit Row. That's it.
Yeah, Hit Squad. I would have just called it Hit Squad, but that's fine.
It's going off the record label. One drop.
I get it and everything, but it sounds stupid.
Because Hit Squad sounds so much better.
Hit Squad does, because it's assassins. You call it a hit squad. It's an actual word, actual phrase people use. No one says hit row. No
Records.
No. Because, see, death row comes from an actual word, death row.
Right.
So, but no one says hit row. No one does. Anyways, that's beside the point.
With that,
Escobar to Ring of Honor.
Ooh, okay.
Escobar to Ring of Honor and Swerve to Impact.
Fuck you, you're wrong.
I knew that would get Fabe's attention there, but I mean, like I said, the tough thing is it's a Sophie's choice, but I think long term, me personally, I think Swerve has a lot more to do. I think he's got a lot more. And now here's the thing. Of the three of us on this podcast, I'm the only one who's ever watched any Lucha Underground. Both of those people were in Lucha Underground. And
Swerve and Santos?
Swerve and Santos were both in Lucha Underground. Not under those names.
Right.
But
Delgado El Fantasma.
He also was not under El Hijo del Fantasma. He was under.
Did you like being wrong?
Yes.
It's fun to say.
But so that's what I would do. But let's see what JLB would do.
Honestly, I honest to God don't think you can put Kushida anywhere except AEW though. So that I will leave him there.
You're gonna make one of us happy and one of us pissed. Go.
Yeah. Swerve has so much personality. No, you know what? I'm gonna make everyone pissed. Swerve to AEW. I just feel like he's younger and they have enough. No, there's no. You done messed it up. Yeah. You got the case of the sticky fingers. You can't touch it. It don't work. Yeah. So I don't know. I just feel because Swerve's a bit younger, it'd be good for Swerve to go in there. Swerve has a lot of personality. It's just he hasn't been using, or they haven't allowed him to shine yet. And I'm not crazy on this Hit Row Records thing, but I mean, whatever. If it gives them more airtime to shine, let's see what happens. Kushida would have to go to. Fantasma's so good, though.
Yes, he is. Yeah, your Swerve choice is the wrong one. That just so you know.
No, I realize that, but at the same time, because Kushida could just go back to New Japan and whatever. Like he's good. Yeah, no, I'm gonna say actually, you know what, Kushida, fine, Kushida to Impact because Kushida could still kind of show up in our in AEW, and then I guess that means I'm doing the same with you, Phantasma to ROH, which doesn't sound right at all. I'm sorry.
Well, he hadn't figured it out.
It's a Sophie's choice, but
fuck Sophie and her choice. Fuck them all.
I just
you're the devil.
I feel like having watched Lucha Underground, because I'm special and everything. I've seen a lot more of what both of those people can do, and I just feel like long term Swerve has more upside to me.
Yeah, that's it. I'm a believer in Swerve.
Here's where I'm gonna get hyperbolic with this. Right, I think Swerve has Rock potential. I think it'll be a while, but I think he's got the charisma, he's got the skill, he's got the attitude, and he's got the look.
Yeah, I understand what you're seeing, though. That makes a lot of sense.
Be at that level, and while Santos Escobar is really, really good. I see him as Triple H potential, which is still a star, but in the grand scheme of things, who was the bigger star? The Rock or Triple H?
Triple H, because you got Stephanie.
I almost spit it out. But I didn't want to clean my kitchen, so I was out.
But that's all I'm saying is for me, Santos Escobar, he's phenomenal. He's a great skill. He's a great in all of this stuff. But I just long term, I don't see as much upside as I do for Swerve. So,
well. It's good. I mean, parody sells, so I suppose you two being wrong is parody, so we're okay with that.
We will revisit this in 5 years, and
are we going to start doing rewatches of our? We're going to do watch-alongs of our own episodes.
This will be watch along episode 42 of Fantasy Booking Institute.
I'm nowhere near that vein. I would never do that.
Are you kidding? I'm going to schedule that live stream for Thursday. I'm not scheduling that live stream for Thursday.
Okay,
Oh.
so
Although it does make me think what we booked in our fantasy booking for episode 42 now. Because that would have been almost a year ago.
6 months ago.
6 months ago. Yeah.
damn, time flies. Huh?
We're at what 104, 105, something like that.
Well, I mean, the tough thing is because of the way we don't number them online and we go back and forth. It's tough. It's really tough to say. So
maybe you should start numbering them.
I number them in my personal thing. But, here's the behind the scenes why I don't number them when I upload them, when I post them. Apple Podcasts, actually, it's come out that they deprioritize podcasts that label it episode 1, episode 2, episode 3, that they put those to the bottom of the list. And so
Apple Podcasts to ROH.
Yes, Apple Podcasts to ROH. So FBI number 42 would have been let me show the date here. Late July of last year.
Oh, okay. So 9 months ago.
We go to we ranked current protected finishers. We booked the SummerSlam title matches, and we drafted the Ultimate Time Travel pay-per-view.
Ooh.
We could totally do that. We're not going to do that. I'm just kidding. Anyway, go for it, JLB. What's your challenge?
Okay, so I am going to do female wrestlers.
We hit the gamut.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I hate to break it to you. You are not going to do any female wrestlers.
Maybe Nia Jax.
Why am I not going to do any female wrestlers?
Yeah. I'm using "do" in the
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Like I'm
Andre.
gonna. First of all, you don't know my skills. Have you ever heard of my pickup lines? No, because I never tried to pick you up, good sir.
No game. It's interesting. So it regardless of what your shirt actually says, it says no regard. At the angle you were sitting, it looked really close to no game. Really close to
No
game.
And I just look at it and I just think no regrets. Not even a single letter. Go ahead and have us choose on female wrestlers.
All right, so I know we kind of did a lot of them already, but I'm gonna switch it up, and it's gonna kind of be the worst of the batch, at least according to you guys, because then that will be fun, because you have to actually put them somewhere. So we are going with Nia Jax, Lana, and Naomi.
It hurt you to call her worse, didn't it? It really hurt you. Like,
It was for you guys. I didn't mean that. It was more for you guys.
He's struggling while he knows that Dana Brooke is still out there playing. He's like, I like Dana Brooke in the wrestling ring though. So
I do, yeah. I don't know. She's, then again, I should have used her because she ain't doing shit.
You had Aaliyah. Aaliyah was an option.
Who?
Aaliyah, exactly. That's my point.
I should have put Lily, freaking
the puppet.
the freaking puppet. Ugh, Jesus. Well, she's a wrestler now. She's hurting Shayna Baszler, making her leg cramp. Stupidest thing in the world. Jesus. So yeah, and I honestly chose Nia and And Lana, because I'm like, all right, if I said Nia, they're going to put her to AE dubs because, I don't know, to go against Nyla. And then I'm like, oh, but now let me put Lana into the mix because, well, she can't wrestle. And hey, now you can't use her for just Miro automatically sort of ordeal. So go, guys. Have fun.
Bullshit, I can use her for Miro automatically. I respect relationships. I'm going to go with Lana to AEW, though I don't like it. And Smarks, light me up. That's fine. You're welcome to light me up when it's your turn, because that's where I'm going, though. I'm going to go with Nia to Impact and Naomi to ROH. I really do feel that Naomi's in-ring... Hold on. Let me give you the reason why. I feel like Naomi's in-ring skills... I think there's a draw there. I really do feel that maybe it's a booking issue. Maybe, and we know how Vince is, so we know that he sees her as Jey Uso's wife, and so I'm going to keep her because she's Jey Uso's wife. I mean, for heaven's sakes, part of the reason for the Lana contract was to try and get Miro to stay.
Right.
So, Vince does respect those relationships. He doesn't necessarily respect the wrestlers themselves, but he does respect those relationships when he has the opportunity to. That said, hold on, sorry. I feel like Nia. I don't feel like Deonna Purrazzo is going to get injured by Nia. And I don't feel like Jordan Grace is going to get injured by Nia. And that's part of the reason I did that. And then there is something to be said that Lana might be a pretty decent future Mean Charlie Caruso for AEW. We didn't say she had to wrestle, so she can be there doing interviews and stuff.
I don't get
on AEW Dark.
I don't get why they don't train each other. Why Russo doesn't train her to wrestle good, and why Lana doesn't train Russo to promo good. I mean, granted, Miro. Yeah, sorry.
Vince? Are we talking about Vince Russo?
Talking about Vince Russo?
No,
well, here's the deal. Vince Russo doesn't need to wrestle because he just can give himself the belt, and because he did that before.
Did I say? Why would I say Russo? I don't know what I said. Russo, but Lana and
Miro.
Rusev. Excuse me. Sorry.
So, so here's where I am going to throw DA Fame for a loop. I would do exactly the same thing as he'd do.
Wow.
With these three. Here's what it comes down to. As much as I despise Lana in the ring, she does have some mic skills, especially when they stop making her do a stupid Russian accent.
Yeah.
And
no, I think she's only good with the Russian accent, though. I think when she's being nice, that stuff with Natty was whatever. It was stupid. I feel like her good promo skills was only when she was with Rusev. No?
I think her good promos were when she was with Rusev, but not her good promo skills. What I mean is they're not writing good promos for her now because they don't have anything fucking for her. Like DFA mentioned, the only reason she signed that contract extension, the only reason they gave her that contract extension was because they were like, hey, this will keep Rusev around longer. And then later they decided, we don't need Rusev anymore. But they've got Lana to this long contract. So I really do think that her coming in, especially with the upcoming fairly obvious feud, Rusev or Miro versus Kip Sabian, having Lana there to be kind of a foil for Penelope Ford.
Mm-hmm.
Either the weak link or the foil. She can stop Penelope Ford from interfering and doesn't have to have a lot of skill for that, or she can be the weak link that causes Rusev to lose or Miro to lose.
But on top of that, I just think, from promo skills, and here's the deal.
Another one?
Another one. Bang!
So have you ever heard of a guy called the Hulk?
I don't know how you sleep. I can't even drink coffee at night anymore.
So this is
trimmer.
This is how I
his
sleep.
secret.
So ready? Okay. So the Hulk, the way he finally got his anger under control is that he was always angry. The way I got my need for sleep under control is that I'm always tired.
But you're drinking energy drinks.
So here's a fun fact. Caffeine doesn't actually give you energy. It just temporarily stops your brain from being able to process the melatonin that makes you feel sleepy. So that melatonin's still being produced and will eventually, that's why you crash after a lot of caffeine. It's because your body finally catches up and can process all that melatonin and go.
Well, I feel like I shake though. So I don't know. Maybe it's not the caffeine. Maybe there's just something wrong with me.
That's the sugar. And that stuff that he's drinking ain't got no sugar, no sugar in it. Sugar
no
free.
sugar free.
Yeah.
I don't drink any beverages with sugar in them.
Zero sugar.
But a whole lot of cancer. Hashtag Pepsi. Zero.
Nah.
I don't think there's aspartame in Pepsi, is there?
Yeah. For sure.
Ascorphylmame potassium. It's got aspartame in the zero.
What is it? I didn't know if they were still using aspartame or not.
But here's the deal: the aspartame. When you talk about cancer with that, we're going off on a weird tangent. Talking about cancer with aspartame. The studies that showed that they were feeding mice like the equivalent of 600 of these
a day.
And I don't know. I think if you give anyone 600 of anything a day, you'll probably give them some sort of health problem. So,
well, the best example is vitamin D. So we all need vitamin D to survive, right? And the best way to get that is the sun. D. Jesus Christ. I do. I need your vitamin D. Anyway,
Jesus.
You are my sunshine, my only sun. So, sunshine is the best way to get vitamin D, obviously. Too much sunshine will also give you cancer, and a lot of it. Yeah. So
you can also OD on vitamin C.
Yeah,
100%. So, anyways,
you can overdose on water.
But so Lana to AEW, Nia Jax to Impact. I think she literally would benefit the most from having that roster around her to help her out, and help cover for her inadequacies in some ways. And seriously, as bad as she can be at some points, to have Jordynne Grace throw Nia Jax around sometime.
Yes,
I am there for that. Also, congratulations to Jordynne Grace for signing a extended contract with Impact. I'm angry because AEW didn't come in and drop dollar bills on her, but I'm happy that she's happy wherever she's at. And then Naomi to Ring of Honor, but in this case, it's not the kill one. Ring of Honor is investing heavily in their women's division now. True. They are relaunching the Women of Honor women's division with a whole tournament going on right now. And their roster right now for women is relatively small. I think right now they've got like 9 women on their roster. And
but
so
it's also relatively stacked.
Well, yeah, there's some really good names on there, like Angelina Love, Mandy Leon, Velvet Sky. I'm a big fan of Session Moth Martina.
I'm a huge fan of Velvet Sky, but for completely different reasons.
But Naomi could come into that division.
Back in your pants.
Naomi could come into that division and legitimately be like instantly one of the top ones there.
Yeah, she could.
And maybe they'd be able to teach her to not do the hip attack, the butt thrust, maybe.
Which is also stupid when Asuka does it. So let's establish
it's 100% stupid when Asuka does it.
I still feel Asuka does it better though.
Asuka does it better because she doesn't do the stupid jump up splits thing when she does it.
That's fair.
But yeah, so that's where I would go there.
Nobody hip attacks better than Asuka.
Oh, I mean, who better than Asuka? Except Canyon.
Well, nobody's better than Canyon.
Nobody's better than Canyon.
But anyways, that's how I would go on it. So
yeah, I don't think that's a bad move.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that's actually not that bad either.
I am curious, JLB, because we were both the same, and it sounds like you would be different. You don't have to do this. Obviously, we don't have to do our own. I was more than happy to do mine, but I think it was obvious which way it would have gone. How would you do it?
Yeah, so I'd probably bring I'd honest to God probably bring Nia to AA Dubs. I feel like they do need more powerful women. And maybe they would teach her how to wrestle too, like a little bit better at least. I still feel like the women's division is getting better. So I think her and Nyla being like a dominant force together and then doing a feud there would be nice. And I don't know, maybe she'll actually get some, I don't know, maybe she would be different. So I kind of would like to see that. Screw the relationships. This is business. This ain't matchmaking. So you dealt with Lana in WWE all this time, Miro. You don't need her now. We don't need distractions from you. You were giving you a push. So no distractions, and that's it. So I would put Naomi to Impact though. Probably for the same reason that I feel they could help her out, because Impact does have a pretty strong-ish women's division.
Yeah, she'd get bitch slapped.
Sorry?
She'd get bitch slapped.
Strong-ish is what I'm staying with.
No, she would get her ass handed to her in that division.
No, she would, but at the same time, I think she would learn a lot too, because I do feel that she doesn't get enough. Okay. Yeah, like she doesn't get enough of wrestling time. She only wrestles like once a month maybe, or if she does wrestle twice a week, twice every 2 weeks or so on, she's technically doing like 2-minute matches. So what can you really learn in that regard? Clearly Natty isn't training Naomi well, so hopefully she'll do good Impact. And honestly, Lana is just going to go to ROH, because everyone's going to get a training camp here, ladies and gentlemen. Everyone's getting a training camp here. It's pretty much why I did what I did, because it would technically benefit all parties in terms of training them properly. And I just think you're going to get at least a decent feud with Nyla and Nia, and or a jumbo crazy earthquake kind of team. Yeah.
Natural disasters.
Natural disasters.
To the natural disasters.
Because they were powerful.
Typhoon and earthquake. Yes, that's what they were.
Not because they were big. They were powerful. All right? Learn how to use your word. Quit trying to cancel me, good sir.
Fat shamer. That's what you're doing. You're fat shaming. Anyway.
You're fat shaming. You're saying my stuff is bad.
I'm not allowed to fat shame. I'm fat. Did you hear me talk about my boobs earlier?
You're shaming on me and I'm fat. All right. It's fine.
So, I will justify that with one other piece to that, with Nia going to AEW. I don't like it, but then that would give them, if all of the large powerhouse women, as JLB has put it, that AEW has had, were there at the same time, you could have a really interesting tag or fatal four-way with Awesome Kong, Aja Kong, Nia, and Nyla. So that would be kind of entertaining. See?
And you were just making fun of me for it. Like, I don't know.
You could have 3 good wrestlers in there and Nia.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. So I changed it up a bit, and everyone learns from it, and everyone's a winner, guys. Because if we all win together, we all grow together.
Okay. So we're gonna start to close things up here, but we actually got a comment here that I kind of want to take some time to address because it confuses me a bit. But
No, I don't think you should address it though. To be honest
I'm
with
going
you.
to because we got a comment from a guy, OP Radio, says, "You guys are lifting my content. At least give me credit." And I'm confused because I don't know what we're lifting. Period.
Right? Yeah.
I've literally never heard of this guy. So we've been doing this particular thing for almost 2 years. And so we just started our live streams, but we've been doing this as a podcast for 2 years. Almost. So I don't know what we're lifting. But
here's your credit.
Yeah. What I want to do is I'm reaching out to this guy because he hopped on long enough to leave this and then left. And so I want to know what content are we lifting so that I can clarify and make corrections, because format wise we came up with this on our own. Everything else we do on here on our own. I don't know what we air quotes lifted from this guy, because
we did lift the AEW ROH because
but it's a different scenario. Either way,
we lifted the Fireberry push, but we credited What Culture Wrestling for the Fireberry push.
Fantasy booking, there's not a wrestling podcast out there that doesn't do some type of fantasy booking.
And so I don't know what I'm genuinely curious.
He's just trolling. That's all it is, though.
What you think we lifted? Can you clarify? But like I said, I tried looking up your YouTube channel, and I've never listened to or watched anything of you, so I didn't lift anything there as far as I know. But I'm reaching out in good faith, because I don't want anyone to ever think we're trying to rip people off or anything. If he thinks we lifted something from him, I want to know what it is, and then we can correct things. We did not knowingly lift anything from anyone, but I do want to at least address this and respectfully. So, OP Radio, shoot me a message. Let me know what you think we lifted from you, and hopefully we can get to some sort of a understanding on everything. So
now I gotta go look and see how many episodes he has on YouTube of anything.
Oh no, he has quite a following. Technically,
he's got. I mean, a fair amount of listeners and everything, but from what I see, most of what he does is not wrestling related. It's
vlogging.
He's from Opie and Anthony. So it's vlogging, and it's a music podcast and music related and everything. And I literally look at this and I don't know anything. I don't see anything off of here that even comes close to what we're doing here. So I'm legitimately, I don't know what he's referring to, but that's why I want to reach out from a standpoint of, if it is something that we unknowingly lifted from him.
He did an interview with like Diamond Dallas Page, but I mean, that's the only wrestling thing I'm seeing.
Yeah. If there is something out of it that legitimately we may have unintentionally lifted, I want to rectify things. I want to be respectful here, but at the same point, I've never actually listened to any of his stuff or watched any of his videos, so I don't know what he could be referring to. I literally don't. So,
yeah, I don't know.
On that note, this will be the.
No worries. Go ahead.
But we'll start to wrap things up for this episode. As always, links to everything, the social media, our Patreon, our merch store, everything will be in the doobly-doos below. So you can check that out there. You can follow us on social media. You can follow me at Raw and Order WBU. You can follow DA Fabe at
DA Vincent K. Fabe on Twitter.
And then you can follow JLB at
JLB420. Real Talk Radio is the brand at Real Talk Radio 8. Anchor.fm/RTR. Excuse me for the hiccups. Big Brother is over finally, and we have that.
God.
No, don't you dare. And it's coming back in a month, so and and that's it. And Anchor.fm/RTR. We're just doing a whole bunch of stuff. Just saw a few more movies, so I'm going to put those reviews up. And back to you, good sir.
Yep. So
it heartbreaks me that I know Smarks really takes this serious, that somebody has accused us of lifting, because we canceled 3 different podcast concepts to avoid lifting anything from people. And so I can tell it's bothering him right now just by looking at the video. Dude, like, come on the show. Yeah, Tell us how we're lifting it. Like literally fantasy book us how we lifted. I'm fine with it. Like, we'll promo you. You don't have to promo us. Like, whatever. Like, I feel like that's what you were trying to do with the chat.
No, but that's it.
I'm an asshole, so I'll say that. But if you got nothing legit, then don't be coming on our thing and saying that we lifted something. And if you do have something legit, hit up Smarks, because he genuinely doesn't want to be off on you. And if it's my name that I stole, I still don't know that there's a DA Vincent Kayfabe out there. So, yeah, I'm sorry. I hate seeing my best friend pissed off or heartbroken. He's not pissed. I'm pissed. Yeah. He's heartbroken. So,
but like I say, I mean, we've been doing this for 2 years, and this is the first we're hearing. I mean, yeah, we just started the live streams, but we've been doing this show for 2 years, and this is the first we're hearing of any of that. So, but anyways, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to this podcast, and head on over to Apple Podcasts where it's going to be posted. Give the show 5 stars, just like you would give your vacation if you ever go to beautiful Turks and Caicos.
Turks and Caicos.
Turks and Caicos.
It's so good.
But on that note, we will go ahead and wrap things up, close the book on the Fantasy Booking Institute. Thank you all for joining us, and we will see you soon.
Now that we've signed out, I'm going to lift something. Can't see us no more.